In a few short words, what is Crytek building on from Far Cry, your last game?
Far Cry was our very first effort to build a video game, and while we had a lot of success with it and a lot of fun with it, we weren't able to quite unleash the creativity that we thought we wanted to have. There were still too many restrictions that we had on ourselves in terms of what we could do with the levels, and we had a vision that we could make the games much more interesting if we could make the environments much more interactive. It's been kind of the holy grail of video game design for a long time, that if it's in the environment, it should feel like it's really there, you should really be able to interact with it. And so we had to do that in a way that was systematic. It wasn't just scripted, it wasn't just pre-canned, but that at any point in time, these things could happen in the world. And that was what we set out to do with Crytek from the Far Cry engine.
Can you give any concrete examples of how you try to do this?
Well, for example, in every level that's ever been built prior to this, you could hide behind a tree and a tank couldn't run over it and get to you. And that broke the immersion. When we had titanium trees that didn't respond to the fact that you had this great big explosion just happen in the world, you know, that made it clear that you weren't in a real world, you were in a video game. And we wanted to make that not only feel more realistic, but also have interactive gameplay. So that if there was cover in the world and you wanted to take it out, you could take it out by expending some ammo on it, and that way the AI had to respond to the fact that now there wasn't a hiding place there anymore, and they had to find a new way to come at you.
Can you tell us a little bit about the things that you have in the game, like the features, the nanosuit? How is that changing the gameplay in your...
Well, the nanosuit allows you to do things in a game that previously you couldn't have done. We can now dial up your strength and you can interact with a building. You can knock it down, or you can pick up a dumpster and throw it at an enemy, or use it for cover, which, you know, isn't very realistic if you're just going to have that be a normal person. But with a nanosuit, you can decide whether you want to do that, or if you come up into a situation, do you want to respond by hiding, which in that case you can use your speed to get out of there quicker, or you can use your cloak and actually become harder to see and more invisible to the enemy. It allows you a greater variety of gameplay. It allows you to decide how you're going to play a scene out, and it allows you to go play it back multiple times, different ways, and see how things work out.
Isn't that a very hard thing to balance out?
It greatly increases the amount of testing time we have to put into a level, because obviously when you build a level, if you build it around the idea that certain areas are out of bounds and that you can't get to them, and therefore you don't have to worry about what will happen if you do get there and the AI gets there, and then suddenly you add the ability to jump twice as high as you could before. Now all of a sudden you're in an unexpected situation, and the designer might not have thought about it before you actually got there. So yes, we have to think more carefully about things. We have to think about the what-if situations. What if, instead of following the vision of the game designer, you decide to go down a different path and take a different approach to the problem? And we have to make sure that those are just as fun, and that takes an additional amount of time. But at the end, it makes for a game that has a lot more replay value than just playing it through one time and then you put it away and never want to see it again.
And it also gives a lot of potential for a very fun multiplayer game. Is that something you're looking at?
Yeah, we have to be careful to balance the multiplayer fun with the multiplayer exploits. There's a fine line between being something that's innovative and fun and something that's being an unfair advantage. But it does open up a lot of possibilities that weren't there before.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.